Welcome to Locked On Golden Knights. Robin Lehner is out for the upcoming season with a hip injury. What is VGK going to do to address its needs in the crease?
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco along with Chris Golick from Las Vegas. You could find us on Twitter. I am at Tony Dasco. He is at TD Chris G. I'm all sorts of getting ahead of myself. You are listening and watching Locked On Golden Knights at Locked On VGK on Twitter, at Locked On VGK on our YouTube channel, which Chris has put together quite nicely. And make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And tune in wherever you get your podcast. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. And I'm just getting excited because I have to jump into this. And it's taken me over a day now, Chris. But I have to admit, that I really was not surprised when I found out on Thursday, just like you probably, that Robin Lehner is expected to now miss the upcoming season. He is out with a hip injury. And we knew at the end of this last season that VGK wouldn't have the services of Lehner, at least at the start of the upcoming season. Kelly McCrimmon told us that. And now we're going to understand that he's going to have hip surgery pretty soon. It's kind of late in the game, but he's still, I guess, on the mend from he supposedly had the shoulder surgery. Perhaps he had knee surgery. The hip bone is attached to the tailbone, all that stuff. And of course, here we go. And Vegas fans earlier this week, Chris, they're chirping Carolina after the Canes. Max Pacioretty was injured, out for 6 months with that Achilles injury. Carolina and the NHL to VGK. Hold my beer. Robin Lehner, we didn't know anything about these injuries. And, Frank Saravelli, Dr. Frank Saravelli, he is owed an absolute apology from Robin Lehner. Emily Kaplan, same thing. Emily Kaplan, they both were talking about all these injuries. Robin Lehner, no way, I'm not injured. Whatever. He is on currently, he is on the LDIR. He's on the long distance injured reserve list because he's in Sweden. And I don't even know if Robin Lehner is going to be coming back to the VGK. So he's out for the start of the season. On today's show, we're going to be talking about options later on for VGK between the pipes. We're going to also talk about perhaps some other players that they could bring in now, as there is some salary cap money that has been cleared. And, okay, so VGK starts off, I think they'll start off the season on LTIR with a couple of lines and a couple of goalies. Oh, things are going so well here in Happyville. All right, Chris, a lot to unpack there.
Go ahead, you're man. Good. You're good.
You're good. You could tell I'm fired up. I'm stumbling. I'm just all over the place. But this, again, is more drama and not necessarily what they need at this point, drama for the VGK.
You gave me time to do some redecorating in the office behind me while you put all that together. So
I know
that's
you
okay.
drank an entire, and you also drank an entire cup of coffee. That's pretty cool. And a nice jersey back there. I like that one.
Which one?
The Fleury jersey.
Oh yeah, that's my dual Blackhawk Golden Knight one back there that I never got to show him because I missed Fleury's comeback game last year due to me having COVID, my kid having COVID, and whatever. But not the topic in hand right now. So I guess a couple things. One, VGK fans, relax. And when I say relax, I don't mean about the next season and stuff like that. I mean the comments and stuff. Like there's people doing victory laps about this, and that's something I don't like. And this is just a very quick 15-second thing. I was a soccer player my youth life, played goaltender for most of that time, and I was on just a terrible high school team. Our dean was the coach because he probably got in trouble for doing something, and they made him the coach of the team. He knew absolutely nothing about it. But I remember one day I'm riding on the bus, and I wasn't having a good season, just like the rest of my team. And just randomly, the coach is talking about the lineup, and he says, "Oh, and we're going to play XYZ player in goal and not me." And the whole bus cheered. And I felt bad. Like, it was something that I even remember to this day. It didn't mess me up or anything like that, but it's just one of those things that I remember. And no one outside of the universe, outside of that bus, knew that Chris Golick was not going to be the JV starting goalie for the Glenbard North Panthers in 1996. Yikes.
More coffee. Wow.
It's not coffee. So no one outside that bus knew that was happening at that moment. Now we have what seems like an entire city cheering that Robin Lehner is injured, folks. And I just don't get that. Like, I get last season was what it was. I get everything that happened. I get the polarization that comes with Robin Lehner. But man, that's just too much. Like, VGK fans, calm down a little bit. Yes, there's going to be changes to the roster, and maybe it does lead to, acquisitions, and we'll talk about that in the third segment. But, having that type of excited reaction, folks, that's just, you shouldn't call yourself a fan of this hockey team if that's how you feel when one of our players, any of our players, goes down like that. So that's just my message to the VGK fans. If you're going to be happy that Robin Lehner is injured and gone, just see yourself out the door.
The only thing that really gets to me, okay, so you can't tell me that this organization didn't know about the multitude of injuries. You can't tell me that Pete DeBoer had no idea that he was injured when his entire body's falling apart.
DeBoer looks better all of a sudden in all this. DeBoer looks better, And okay, I think I know where you're going with that there, maybe. So let me give a little clarity to that comment. DeBoer was starting to sit him in favor of Logan Thompson and things like that. And there's a lot of people now saying DeBoer came across as like a tyrant that didn't care about his injuries and stuff like that. I wouldn't go that far, folks. I think that's definitely shaking the tree a little too hard, trying to get something to fall out. But, if your number one goalie puts his skates on, you play him. That's just how it goes. No matter what the injuries are, if that's your number one goalie, you're going to give that player a shot no matter what. And then obviously, if things don't go well, that's when you pull him out of a big game down the stretch. So we're talking about the game against the Caps when he was pulled for Logan Thompson, and that game obviously finished out the way that it did. So, yeah, I guess we got to give Robin Lehner some credit for trying to play through all of this. I don't think he was trying to skirt this. I do think he was legitimately injured. And maybe now at the end of the season, I do understand why he was trying to, basically say, listen, I'm not good enough to play for this team right now. I mean, the hip injury is not new. I think we can agree on that, right, Tony? There's no way this is just an injury that popped up over the last 3 months. And then I'll parlay that with for a 7-1 payout at the window. I'll parlay that to the fact that there's no way VGK just learned on August 11th that Robin Lehner is going to be out for the year. I'm not buying that. Maybe they didn't know right at the start of the offseason, because I think that might have changed the trajectory of things a little bit. But this definitely didn't just come to fruition yesterday, folks. No way.
Yeah, no. So VGK has been hiding these injuries all along for a variety of reasons. I just think, again, it's that smarter than you mentality where, okay, we're going to load up on the LTIR. We're going to play these games with the cap. Hey, they wouldn't have to play all these games with the cap if they didn't exceed the salary cap by that much. If you're, one of those teams in contention, I understand. Yes, you can maybe skirt it a little bit, play some of those games, but they were fully loaded there with 500 plus man games missed. And remember when VGK, Chris, too, something that came back to me yesterday was VGK kept telling us during these injuries, Robin Lehner is having maintenance days, and that's why he's not at practice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a big lie again. And I would just like more transparency with this I was going to say organization. No, let's go Canadian organization.
Okay. That wasn't too bad. I do trust the process, but I hear what you're saying. How much clarity do we need? How much clarity do we deserve? And let's go back to Riley Smith here for a second. We hear about a handshake deal that obviously came to fruition the moment Max Pacioretty was traded. So let's just kind of talk about that timeline for a second here. Why does VGK wait until August 11th instead of announcing this. I don't know. I'll just make up a number. I think that this was probably a possibility 90 days ago he was going to be gone. I think 60 days ago, they probably were starting to really think, okay, this really might be happening. And then 30 days ago or less, I'm assuming they probably knew this was what the path was going to be. So the only, again, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but I did put this out there in the Twitterverse the moment I learned about the Lehner news. Maybe the reason that it just got announced now is because a signing is coming, and I connected the dots there to Kadri. I'm still surprised that Kadri hasn't been signed. Obviously, he wants more than what teams are willing to pay right now. Well, all of a sudden, VGK's got some money on the table, so let's see if some type of signing is now announced in the imminent future here. That's kind of my conspiracy theory in all of this. It's just maybe it's not a good one. I don't know, and we'll dig more into that later. But I think that might just be the timing as to why we're just learning on August 11th, discussing on August 12th about something that probably was in the works since June 1st, maybe less.
My concern with the VGK is that they feel it's well, a major concern with the VGK is that I believe still that they have this the sort of swagger where they think that with the parts that they have, all those pieces in place currently, that they have a Stanley Cup caliber team. Every year it's been, oh no, we can win it all with this roster, and there's like 10 guys out, and they're okay, great. So keep believing that. And I just have to go back to the trading deadline, before the trading deadline, when Lehner was in and out of the lineup early in this whole season. Why didn't they go out and get another goalie? It just blows my mind that they haven't gone out. Yes, it's the money thing. What? Just put Laurent Brossoit on LTIR2 for the entire season, and let's start anew. Let's go out and get a couple of goalies. I just can't understand why they didn't make any moves. And, going back to Lehner has brought a lot of this outside of the mental illness issues. He has brought so much on himself, though, too, because sometimes he just chirps too much. He talks too much. Just the denial of these injuries with nationally respected reporters. Frank Saravelli, Dr. Saravelli, is one of the best, I believe, personally, and credible. And he had sources that told him that there were all these injuries. And then Lehner, though, this is when you just pipe down. Why would he come out and say, hey, look at me. Look, do I look? Yeah, you're falling apart at the seams. He has 3 that we know of injuries, right? Yeah, he had the shoulder. We believe that there was the knee, and now it's the hip injury. And why wait so long? Maybe he's recovering from those other surgeries. Why wait so long where he has not even had the hip surgery? That's one of my biggest questions right there. And is he going to just stay in Sweden? I mean, is this the end of the line for Robin Lehner? That's another question. This will be, I think, year 3 coming up of the 5-year contract for Lehner. Will he ever suit up for the Golden Knights again?
I think he'll have to, because I don't know, this is something we talked about coming into the offseason about the potential of trading him in another salary dump circumstance. And now we're talking about the same player who is 1 year removed off of hip surgery that kept him out of the lineup, for an entire season. So the answer is yes, as long as he doesn't retire. Well, the answer is no. He will be suiting up for VGK again sometime in season 7, because who's going to take him and his $5 million? We're not going to hold on to any of that salary in a trade. So I think it's just a matter of, season 6, get better, whether you stay in Sweden that whole time, whether you start tweeting more or talking more or whatever that is, we'll see you in a season number 7. And, we'll have plenty of off-season content between season 6 and 7 to address, obviously, as we await the triumphant return of Robin Lehner. I'm just thinking back to the Blues Brothers and their triumphant return to that gig in Indiana that they did and all that, but that's another show for another time here. But, back to the comments about the injuries and stuff like that. Like, I don't think these players necessarily owe a whole lot to the media. And some players, we've discussed how coaches handle themselves and how players handle themselves. But when you are in all this denial, when basically say they're lying, or I'm just going back to the conversations that happened right after that game when he was pulled against Washington, and that's when Emily Kaplan was making the comments and Saravelli and everything. At some point, hey, if Lehner wants to show what he's made of, how about he contacts one of them and sits down for an interview and just says, okay, fire away. I'll give you everything.
He owes them an apology at the very, very least, just
that's
because
fair.
he
That's
made a
fair.
mockery out of that whole system and everything that they talked about. And again, folks, we know that he has the mental health issues and all that. This really has nothing to do with that. You don't just, deny when you're just for the sake of trying to prove otherwise, because now we see the proof that he was an injured goalie. It was awful at times. He'd go down on the ice to make a save, and he just could never get back up. He's flopping around. I called him the walrus at some point this season. The fans were cheering when he was yanked from that game against Dallas, where he gave up the 3 goals on 10 shots. And luckily for the VGK, Brossoit came back and helped him out, and they won the game. But yeah, there's just been so much drama that I think a lot of that is unnecessary. If you're injured, then just, again, I know you want to fight through these injuries. I know that you want to play games. Great. I understand all of that. But when it came to the point of all these claims, the best thing I felt for Robin Lehner to do was just to be quiet. Like, why would he come back and then try to contest their reports when all those reports now turn out to be true?
No, it's all fair, Tony. And obviously you're much more on the media side. I'm just the fan that likes to talk hockey. So you certainly see this from a different perspective than I do, but I get it all. And, I'll say it again. I don't think the players owe the media much unless they want to use the media as a media to talk directly to the fans and stuff like that. Like, I'm okay with stuff like that. And, we've talked about how different players interview differently and stuff like that. You get a lot more from Jonathan Marchessault after a game than you do Riley Smith, who sticks a little more to the, the pre-selected and predetermined answers. And that's okay. But when these comments come out about the injuries and stuff like that, and the fact that, you might be missing the entire season and things like that. And now, like, how do you feel? And this hip injury isn't new. I don't think the concern for him missing an entire season wasn't new. I could only assume that they were maybe looking at different options and different ways to address this and trying to find a way to get him back to full health as close to the start of the regular season as possible. And I think DeBoer, don't necessarily quote me on this, but I thought DeBoer even made a comment that he expected Lehner to be back by the start of the season and stuff like that. And you might be able to go find other tweets and stuff like that from various outlets that reported similar. And now you see this, dude just got to walk it back, and whatever it is, it is a blemish on his character. I think a little bit. I'm not questioning his heart and by any means, but maybe it's denial. Maybe it's just, hoping everything's going to work out and things magically take care of themselves. I don't know. I can't put myself in Lehner's head, but looking at the grand scheme of things, the way last season ended, the mentions in the media, the national media, very well-respected media members about how damaged he currently is and the fact he might not play the rest of the season. Like, it was all valid at the time, and now it's been validated.
Yeah. And okay, so you are a season ticket holder, and at times, due to all this adversity, the fan base has been a little bit up and down, a little wishy-washy, if you will. They don't know which way to go, which way to turn. They're starting to see that, again, there is a lack of transparency from the front office of the Vegas Golden Knights. That is a fact, folks. And now they're starting to see that there are just so many other issues and just the drama. Why? Like we've said before, we have no problem filling up shows here on Locked On VGK because they just keep giving us more fodder.
See, Tony, this is where I think you and I differ a little bit. I don't need the transparency. I don't need the stuff like that from the front office, because not because I care or don't care. There's a couple reasons. One, this is entertainment for me. I've loved hockey my whole life. I love the game of hockey. I'm now emotionally connected to the Vegas Golden Knights because this is, obviously where I've spent most of my adult life. I've been here since 2008, and I think just like many Las Vegas locals, we have the direct connection due to the October 1 tragedy and everything that happened too. I think that's also a big part of it. So I look at Vegas at the Golden Knights hockey as entertainment, as just an awesome experience. And then also mainly my son, and not excluding my daughter Allie, but my son Christopher has taken to hockey much more than she has. So I look at the connection that it's created between me and my son, and then me and my family as well. Me and the family do go to a bunch of games together. We plan a day out of it and stuff like that. So
And you paint the ice, and you've gone there and painted the
yeah,
ice.
that's how I view it. Now, looking at it simply as a fan who wouldn't be, who doesn't have a family, just the person who's connected just because of the game and the team. As far as the transparency goes, there's stuff that happens so many levels above, what is being discussed with us as far as trades, as far as business, as far as just, I think back to when I worked at the casino, there was so many things that happened well above me, stuff I thought I should have been involved in, and conversations about business and things like that. And, I just had my little poker room that was maybe worth maybe 1.5% of the net bottom line in the entire, year. So I'm not involved in all these big time decisions about the property. And I certainly know there's a bunch of lip service, and shout out to Planet Hollywood for not getting their roofing situation taken care of on the mezz. It was raining inside yesterday, but
they did make it rain.
Oh, it was great. That started off as a small leak 6 years ago, Tony. I'm not kidding you. They would put a garbage can under that and just whatever, no big deal. And
that's a casino way. That's not just isolated to one casino here.
No, but now it's the Rainforest Cafe in there. Ooh, that was good.
Hey, we have to take a break here.
We do.
Coming up next, we've got some answers, perhaps. What are some of the options out there between the pipes for the Vegas Golden Knights? You are listening to Locked On Golden Knights. BetOnline.net is the fastest and the easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball. And the Field of Dreams game was really cool last night. NFL preseason going on. NBA when it's in season. The National Hockey League. Combat sports. They have over-unders on the amount of Robin Lehner injuries. All of that. Esports, even golf. They have it all. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action and everything that's going on today. BetOnline, where the game starts. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. We thank you all for making us your first listen each and every day. You could find us wherever you get your podcast. And Chris, with Robin Lehner out, let's talk about some of the options for VGK in the crease. And I also have to ask you, or is this in the next segment, are they going to be able to sign the 2 remaining free agents?
So, yes, to your second question, I don't think that's going to be an issue based on the financial situation. Talking about between the pipes, we got Logan Thompson, folks, 10, 5, and 3 or something like that last season. Less than 20 NHL games started. I think Patera may have appeared in 1 NHL game or a period of an NHL game or something like that. I was trying to find that as we were chatting there. So we have less than 20 games of NHL experience between the pipes, folks. Let's go get them. Outside of within the organization, Savale was doing well with HSK last year. Is he ready to make the NHL jump? He might have to in an emergency situation. Ferguson just found himself over in for a PTO, a paid tryout with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Who did we sign last? We signed someone. We talked about this, Tony. Forgive me, and I'm terrible for not remembering
Hutchinson.
This. Hutchinson.
Was that the goalie?
Yeah, that was the name. So let's pull up that hockey DB right now and just kind of see.
Okay, and while we're doing that,
Go ahead.
we're going to have a situation here where you're saying all these other names, but Laurent Brossoit is probably going to start the season on LTIR. We don't know what his injury is, but he's supposed to be out and not ready for the start of this upcoming season. I have been begging, even from the get-go. I didn't believe that with those two goalies, with Lehner and Brossoit, Chris, that these were the goalies that were going to lead this team to a Stanley Cup. Okay, I'm just going to be honest here, all along. And then the injuries started to mount. And why in the world? Again, I know it's salary cap constraints and everything else, but they like to juggle players in and out, LTIR, whatever. Okay, however they juggle the books, they still needed a high caliber or at least an experienced or a playoff tested goaltender. That really just drives me nuts because I've been talking about this for such a long time. And I just, for the life of me, and now a lot of those good goaltenders are gone.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. The goaltender position is incredibly important, folks, and I want to make sure I'm clear on that. Also, the goaltender position is very streaky. Very streaky is the best word I can think of while I'm on the spot here with this light flashing on me. John Sebastian Jiggy with the Anaheim Ducks, 2003, 2004, 2000, whatever that was. That team had no business making the type of run that it did. But a hot goalie can do wonders for you in the playoffs, in the regular season. So if there's one spot where you might be able to get lucky and find lightning in a bottle with a Logan Thompson, with a Patera, with a Michael Hutchinson, or insert player name here. We'll talk about that probably in a few minutes, but you could get lucky there. And VGK just might have to have themselves in a spot where they're going to get lucky. And maybe the signing of Michael Hutchinson was a bit more under the radar at the time, but now maybe it does make sense. And maybe, Tony, it validates the fact that Robin Lehner, VGK knew for a while what was going to happen. Maybe that is the validation. And for whatever reason, folks, they had to wait till August 11th for some weird reason. I mean, remember, VGK dug up some strange thing where they made the excuse where Robin Lehner had to be the backup goalie for that Sunday night game or whatever that game was, the game against the Sharks. And then they had to put him on LTIR after that. Remember that, Tony, in the end of the year?
Was it? And they had to make sure that, was it Coughlin that was activated, that he played as well? It was just some quirky
something weird. And maybe there's something in the rules. Like that's one of the spots where I make the comments. I don't necessarily think the people that run the team have a direct responsibility to be clear and transparent. But when McCrimmon made that comment about, I'm not going to tell you, or something about whatever that, I think he was asked about that in locker cleanout day, exactly what happened. And I think he just said, like, I'm not going to explain it. I'm not going to explain it. Like, but there was some rule or something strange about that. So when you talk about trust and transparency, that's where I need it when you're asked a question like that. But I do believe now, looking at the Michael Hutchinson deal, and I mean, Hutchinson, he's got, going back to 2013, folks, he's got a bunch of games with the Winnipeg Jets, bounced around with Florida, Toronto, Colorado, a game here, a game there. So he's a body. He's probably going to do more in the AHL this season, assuming we get the NHL situation worked out. But it's a very good chance game number one, Logan Thompson is the first goalie off the ice, followed by Michael Hutchinson.
Oh,
yeah, I think that's a very realistic idea. And then Brossoit comes back, hopefully gets healthy, can maybe even close. I don't like a 50-50 split between him and Thompson, but if that's what happens, let's see if we can get through it. But if that's the case, folks, and maybe I'll just kind of lead us into segment 3 here on unannounced, but VGK has about $7 million to work with now in salary cap money with Robin Lehner being gone. So do they do something with the goalie? Do they do a little shopping on the free agency market right now? Well, I'll let Tony take us there in a few minutes.
Okay. So Logan Thompson, we love the guy, or at least I do. He was a little upset with your comments that he's got to be traded.
Yeah, but he probably knew when he made that comment about Robin Lehner.
He knew what was going on, right?
Call it what it is.
Sure. 19 games, small sample size, as you mentioned. I can equate this maybe to baseball, where the second time around, like you'll face a pitcher either the second time around in the order or the second time that they face a pitcher, they have him more well scouted and what have you, and we're going to have to see how he responds. I think he's going to be a solid and serviceable goalie and could someday earn the number one spot. I really do believe that, but that just still remains to be seen. There's just a lot of question marks there. And then Lehner played only 44 games last season. And then you have Brossoit. And I still believe, Chris, that they might have shut him down because they felt that he just wasn't good enough. And DeBoer even took shots at him. I thought they shut him down, not for the reasons that a lot might believe with injuries and such. I just felt that he was just not good. So I have got a lot of concerns. And then now who else is out there? I still think Semyon Varlamov, the Islanders goalie. He's in the last year of a 5-year contract, a 4-year contract, I should say, at $5 million, had 20 wins with the Avalanche a couple of seasons ago. He knows the division. I think someone like that might be good. And then again, what does become of the free agent signings? Jake Leschyshyn and Nick Hague. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll return with more. We'll answer those questions. I know I'm telling you, Chris's head's about to explode too. He's got so much on his mind. Back with more after this on Locked On Vegas Golden Knights. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick in Las Vegas. We appreciate you listening and again subscribing to our brand spanking new YouTube channel, and leave those comments for Chris all night and all day. Talk about polarization, brother. I'm telling you. Okay, so thoughts on Varlamov or some other goalies that are still out there, perhaps. Talk about the free agent signings of Jake Leschyshyn, and we need the Knicks at night, both of them. Nick Waugh signed. What about Nick Hague?
So I don't want a $5 million goalie. I don't want another $5 million goalie on the books. I would start by saying that. I think that money can be repurposed in a different direction. We can hit on that in a couple of seconds here. Let's find a way to get Nick Hague locked up, and hopefully it's not $3 million. I don't think he's, no disrespect, I don't think he's a $3 million
word
player
on the market. Yeah, that's the word out there, right?
I don't know. I honestly haven't had my ear to the ground too much about that. I wouldn't be against some type of deal. There are some reports about the Blackhawks maybe showing some interest or something like that. I don't know. If it's $3 million, I know we have some money available. According to what you sent me last night right now, according to Cap Friendly, we can exceed the upper limits of the salary cap by roughly $12 million. According to Cap Friendly, basically, I think that gives us, and I could be wrong here, folks, but I think that gives us in the neighborhood of $7 million total monies available to work with, whether that's between the RFAs or, someone like Leschyshyn is going to get a 2-way contract, so that money won't hurt as bad. Nick Hague obviously will be a 1-way contract. I would like much better, closer in that, 2.5, 2.75 range if we can get him to that. But now Nick Hague's going to say, hey, wait a minute, they got some more money. It's all about leverage, folks. It's all about leverage. We've learned so much about this, but just kind of going through here, just looking on Cap Friendly at players that are available. If they want to make the splash, you sign Kadri. You take. So
you're saying don't even go with a goaltender. You're saying let's just load up on offense. We don't care who's.
Well, no, there's Braden Holtby's out there, folks. Braden Holtby is out there. He was battling some injuries.
About how much?
Last season, his last contract was $2 million, Tony. His last contract was just $2 million, and he didn't have that fantastic of a season based on injuries and stuff like that. If you can get him on something that starts with a 1 for a 1-year type of prove it bridge deal that can help him get paid next year, that's a tire you kick. I mean, folks, no one has made a more important save in T-Mobile Arena than Braden Holtby. Don't forget that. No one has made a more important save than Braden Holtby. And I like the guy. He was a good goalie. Obviously, he's a Stanley Cup winning goalie. If you want to make the splash, you look at Braden Holtby and you start talking to Kadri right now. There's a reason Kadri's not signed, folks, and he might want a lot more money. VGK might be able to sweep in and grab him for something that starts with a 5 right now. And then maybe you have to move on with a Nick Hague and make a trade or something like that. But
I'm concerned. One concern of mine, too, is the fact that if they sign someone to like a $2 million deal, they're going to come with, okay, I'll do it, for a team friendly sort of a deal, but I want term now. And that's where they're in so much trouble already.
Oh no, yeah. I mean,
that is.
If Braden Holtby comes in, he's not getting term. If Nazem Kadri comes in, he's not getting term. Not getting term. Pardon me. But the big splash, folks, if they really want to do something here now, they got some, and we know VGK cannot live with a credit card that's not maxed out. So if they're going to spend this money,
go to Nordstrom's today.
Yeah, exactly. Come blank or high water, they're going to find a way to spend this money. They're going to do it probably in the next 72 hours if I know how VGK operates, folks. So some of the names that are out there, I think the big splash, you find a way to get Holtby and Kadri under contracts.
Steal Jake Ottinger. He's not going to right now. He's having contract issues with Dallas. Steal him from Pete DeBoer.
Yeah, but speaking of term, though, he's going to want, he's going to want a little more than a 1-year deal. Some of the other interesting
Put
names,
these other goalies on the scrap pile for now. Just figure it out.
I don't want
Brossoit. I don't want to see Brossoit again with the VGK.
You're not going to have a choice on Brossoit.
I thought that he would be on the block.
You're not going to. No one's going to take him. No one wants him.
Our guy, Dane Lewis, yesterday tweeted at me, can the Stars interest you in one Anton Hudobin? They have too many goalies down there. Holtby.
Yeah, I mean, Ottinger, some of the other, let's look at our time right now. Some of the other names out there, I mean, Phil Kessel, I don't know what his last contract was $6 million for 8 goals.
He's not getting Kessel? What do you think about Kessel?
I think if at age 34, if he says it'll be cool to hang out in Vegas for less than $2 million, I'll put that 10 spot dollar Keno ticket in. I'll put that in.
Why doesn't VGK sign some of these deals that we've seen in the off season where they cover up the money against the cap by just giving bigger signing bonuses?
That's a fair question, and I'm not educated enough in the salary system to answer that. I just don't know. Doesn't that make sense?
That makes a lot more sense because then you could pay the player, right? And then it doesn't go up against your cap or with incentives.
I have to think, Tony, there is something out there that prevents that. I mean, if there's one thing we know about VGK, they know the salary cap. They know what it's like to be within a penny of the salary cap. And I would have to assume if there's one strong point that has been thought about, but who knows? Just real fast. I mean, Stastny is still out there, folks. Like Stastny, Cody Eakin is out there right now. These are players that have had success in Vegas, and you could do a little shopping because there is concern about our forwards now, obviously, without Max Pacioretty. So if they want to make that splash, Kadri, Braden Holtby, and let's, strap it down and see what happens. Otherwise, your lottery tickets that are out there, if Phil Kessel wants to come in really cheap, that I would certainly entertain that. Paul Stastny, 21 goals last year, and his contract was only $375. Like, his age obviously is stopping him from getting any type of larger deal. I think he still has a house here. I don't think he's watering his lawn, but I think he still has a house here. So there's ways to go with this, folks. There's ways to fix this outside of the goaltending situation.
Yeah, the monsoon's been watering his yard, by the way.
And Planet Hollywood.
And Planet Hollywood, making it rain in the casino. Yeah, again, we knew that Robin Lehner had a lot of injuries, just the way he was playing, the way he was moving. Folks, that's the part that just really gets to me. I really had to believe that Lehner knew, that the organization knew, and that's the part that I think this never-ending saga and the drama with VGK will continue. We didn't get a chance to unveil our WTF, What the Friday. We'll get to that next week. And thanks for all the content, VGK. You're awesome. Chris, you have a great weekend. And thanks to all of you for tuning in. We appreciate you for making our first listen each and every day, and free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure that you check out our YouTube channel as well at Locked On VGK. I'm Tony Cardasco. For my man, Chris Golick, we'll see you next week right here on Locked On Golden Knights.